Hi everybody, and welcome to Observing with Webb for the eclipse of 2017. Now, I know I'm a little late in doing this, but what I want to do is reach out to my fellow Lancasterians, I guess that's the right word, those who live in Lancaster, Lebanon County, go to LVC, anybody sort of in the Pennsylvania-ish area, and there are some other areas as well, but that this applies to. But I wanted to talk about more of my local audience here, which would be Lancaster County, and talk about the basics, the beginning basics of the total solar eclipse of August 21st, 2017. So here's what I want to talk to you a little bit about. First of all, a lot of people are asking, where can I see this? Anywhere without clouds, you can see this event. Now, there's going to be a map up here, I guess, which will be the solar eclipse map. Now, there's a difference between totality and partiality. So the idea is anywhere within that thin band is where you can see totality. For example, Columbia, South Carolina is in totality, which means the moon will completely cover up the surface of the sun. Okay? However, what are we going to see in Lancaster County or Pennsylvania? Well, I'm going to get to that. But where in Lancaster County? There's two good places. Really, anywhere without any clouds is a good spot. It doesn't really matter. However, if you want to go to a place where there are people there who know what they're talking about, there are two places you can go. One would be the North Museum. A wonderful person, Mike Smith, Cosmic Mike of the North Museum, and his crew are going to be putting on a pretty cool day of events there. So I would say go there. That's a good spot. Also, Muddy Run Observatory. Look on Facebook for Muddy Run Observatory. I know they're going to be open for the eclipse. I don't know if they're going to be open for the meteor shower, but they will be open for the eclipse. Check out their Facebook page because that will have more information. But Muddy Run is a little in southern Lancaster County. Great skies, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, wonderful new observatory with 2 telescope domes. Also, when is this going to happen? It's going to happen on August 21st, roughly from 1:22 to 4 o'clock. But I'll get to that later. A lot of people are wondering, well, how am I actually going to see this? Now, the first and cheapest way of looking at this is through a pair of eclipse glasses. I'm sure you can find some around the area or go to the North Museum. I'm sure they're going to sell a lot of them. But go see if you can find eclipse glasses. Now, you can also check NASA. They have a post about what the actual specifications you need are. But anyway, eclipse glasses are probably your best bet. Now, to be honest, the sun is actually pretty small in the sky when you're looking at it through glasses. In fact, you can't even really see the sunspots unless they're really, really big. So eclipse glasses are great, and what you're going to find is you'll see a nice crescent sun, which is really cool. However, there are some other options out there. Now, again, I'm talking about just the basics, so I'm going to let you Google some of these. Some people say using an index card with a pinhole punched in it and sort of holding another piece of paper behind that pinhole in line with the sun. I honestly don't think they work very well. I'll leave that to you. It's not hard to just sort of bring a piece of paper and put a pin in it and see what happens. But also, I hear what's really cool is if you have a colander sort of lined up, or if you have a tree during a partial eclipse, what you'll see is in those areas, depending on the right settings, I guess you could say, you should see actually like little partial eclipses everywhere. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, why don't I use binoculars to see this? Hey, that's a almost good idea. The reason is that binoculars will magnify the sun's light, and you don't want to look at the sun. If you're in Pennsylvania area, you're not going to see a total eclipse. It's only going to be a partial eclipse, which means the moon is only going to cover up part of the sun, and the photosphere, or the shining light surface of the sun, is really, really bright, and you really don't have any reason to look at it until it's completely obscured by the moon. And that's not going to happen for you, unfortunately, if you're not traveling. So binoculars, not really a good idea unless you buy actual eclipse binoculars, which I did, which are not around here, so I can't show you. A camera, honestly, I don't think you're really going to be able to capture a partial solar eclipse. Maybe you will. Hey, that's fine. Maybe you look it up, maybe you Google it and find something cool, but nah, I wouldn't really go for it. My best bet for the beginner person who's just trying to see this, grab a pair of eclipse glasses and go outside on August 21st and just check it out. It's pretty cool. Also, if you're going to check it out and you just have eclipse glasses, by all means, just go out for a minute, check it, maybe even write it in a journal or something. And go out like 10, 20 minutes later, write it down in a journal, check it out, record it in your mind, and just keep going out every like 10 or 20 minutes. Because if I was here, I wouldn't be looking at the sun for the entire 2 hours and 40 minutes of partial eclipse. When are you actually going to see this, and what are you going to see? Okay, so as you can see on my screen, I have the sun here and the moon here. Now, if we scroll in, you'll notice that the sun and the moon are actually pretty close. Now, to help me do this, I'm going to center the sun in my screen. And so what's going to happen, you'll notice that it's about noon on August 21st. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward time a little. And what you'll notice is the moon is actually sort of creeping in on the sun. And this is from near Ephrata, that's somewhere in Lancaster County. And so what you're going to find is right about 1:22, the moon actually starts covering up or eating away at the sun, and it starts chomping and chomping and eating, and it should get a little less bright, a little less hot. In fact, I'm kind of curious to see if there are any measurements, but mid-eclipse is right about 2:40, and that's when the most of the sun is going to be covered up, and then the moon's going to continue to move across and sort of leave the surface of the sun until right about 4 p.m. Let's see. Oh, yeah, right about 4 p.m. So starting at about 1:20 is when the partial eclipse starts. And if I fast forward time, right about 2:40 is when it's maximum eclipse. And for us in Pennsylvania, that's about 80%. That means there's only about 20% of the sun's rays coming at us. So it actually won't get quite as hot as it normally would. Yeah, it's going to be less bright out there. It'll kind of seem a little weird. Now, it's nothing like a total eclipse, but still, it's pretty darn cool. Now, there are tons of other information out there. There's eclipse2017.org, eclipse2017.nasa.gov. There's thegreatamericaneclipse.com. But there's also other things to think about, like how often does this happen? Why isn't there an eclipse every month? And that was a question I had for a while, but it has to do with the tilt of the moon's orbit. And I'll leave it at that and let you sort of look that up. Bottom line, for the Lancaster amateur astronomer, go out between 1:20 and 4 o'clock on August 21st, grab a pair of solar sunglasses or welder's glasses or something. You can Google that. And take a look at the sun and watch and see how the moon passes in front of it for a wonderful event, which won't happen again until 2024. This is a very good, very interesting, very monumental astronomical event that's happening. So anyway, please tell me what you see. Tell me what you experience. Either comment in a YouTube comment or email me or message me, whatever. I wish you very non-cloudy skies for the eclipse of the sun.